The global population has grown tremendously over the years, and that means we will have more need for food production, healthcare, social assistance, security and safety, commodities, and so many other factors. What needs to be understood is where is all of this coming from and what are the trends? You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today I have two charts to show you. In these maps, they will tell us so much information, and you will understand this not just for the general knowledge. You're going to learn about the geopolitical factors as well as investment related measures. Now, looking at all of these pieces of information, you need to be able to connect the dots. Just looking at this isn't going to be telling enough for you. You need to understand how to be able to connect the information and the data together. I'll try to do that as quickly and concisely as I possibly can. Let's take a look at this chart here, which I grabbed from Visual Capitalist, a great resource, but the actual data is from ourworldindata.org. Now, this here tells us basically the countries with the highest population, and it makes them the biggest on the map. Smaller population country, smaller on the map, okay? And it's very easy to tell this from Canada. So looking at Canada, 37 million people approximately, and you could see that it occupies a very small space on the map. In reality, most of the population lives against the US border somewhat. So that's important to know, because a country like Canada does a lot of business with the United States. If there's a problem between these two countries, definitely that will be felt. And I'm going to talk about that more in just a minute, but I want to show you this country, which Canada's taking up a huge land area, and its population, however, is about 1/10 the size. So that's a factor here in the way we show this on the chart. China, for example, you could see 1.4 billion people, big landmass, as well as a big area here for a lot of population. India, 1.35 billion people, big area on the map as well. You look at Africa, the different countries, and how their population is increasing quite a bit and projected to do so, unlike most of the rest of the world, which is actually declining in population. Africa will continue to expand as far as we can tell here. Europe, you can see what is going on there. I want you to note the different countries and who they are pressed up against, as well as their population. As we see countries, they're moving, middle class moving up. We will see the expanding middle class. You will see that there has been struggles along the way, no doubt, and geopolitical tensions that arise. But are there more people today moving out of the rural areas into the cities? If the answer is yes, we have more strain on food production. You have more buildings that need to be built. That means more commodities. That means more people working probably in the services industry and more agribusiness that is being built. Now, agribusiness basically means agricultural business. That means a lot of John Deere tractors, a lot of automation that's taking place, less farmers and more machines. All right, so that's really what's going on in areas like China. It's going on for a long time. It's not going to happen overnight, but certainly that is the trend. India is definitely further behind, but that will take some time. A lot of individuals speak very highly of the future of India, saying that it could be the next China. Definitely the population looks to surpass China, but I'm really looking at this more from what's going on today and what we could see in the near future. All right, so when I look at all of this, I need to look at the country on an individual level, and I want to know, are there tensions going on in between this country and the countries which directly surround it? I want to know, are there any civil strifes which are occurring today? Are there different provinces and territories and states and regions that are fighting against each other? That's another factor. Are they possibly going to encounter any sort of shock or shortage in the apparent future? So are there any disasters that could take place today that would make this a country unstable for any reason, whether that is, some sort of natural disaster, whether it's geopolitically? These are all factors that you need to be paying attention to. I hope you appreciate these tidbits of information. And that brings me to this point here, looking at this chart out of the World Economic Forum. Now, they produced this great map that I think is not going to tell the whole story, but it's a good place to start. If you could just memorize most of this, it will definitely expand your awareness and knowledge. A lot of people don't know a lot of this, and the typical investor simply just invests in tech stocks, and that's fine, but you don't understand economics. You're not really learning about this, and that's really what I'm trying to just get everyone to really be empowered, not just where do I put my money? I need to know what stock I have to buy today. There's much more to it. Don't you want to be knowledgeable? Don't you want to be conducting a conversation with somebody and not tell me how many iPhones Apple sold, but you want to know something about Australia, you want to know something about Sudan, you want to know information about India, you want to know something about Greenland, and having just a good base or foundation of knowledge is going to truly empower you. Okay, let's just take a look at Canada. For example, according to this out of the World Economic Forum, their primary industry, motor vehicles and parts. Now think of this for a moment here. We've got the potential for massive tariffs to be put in place by the United States. Canada and the United States are big partners together. That's very clear. Canada loves to export to the United States. In fact, the numbers I have seen, Ontario exports 87% to the United States. So essentially, if the United States has a problem, Canada has a problem. So when we look at this, motor vehicles and parts, suddenly you put tariffs on them, Canada is screwed, their currency is screwed. Now think about that with all of these other countries. Who do they do business with? What is their primary industry? What are they importing? What are they exporting? Okay, so that's primarily what I wanted to discuss today. And you could look around at another country like Australia. Who are they primarily dealing with? What's their currency like today? What are the repercussions of any potential shocks? Okay, looking at that, they have coal as their primary industry. Does that mean that, you live in Sydney in a condo, you are a coal miner? No, of course not. But that's just giving us a good base, a good example of what's going on in these particular countries. And you could see that, electronics equipment and machinery for China, you could see all these different countries. Okay, I don't want to focus on any one in particular, but I just showed you that as an example because it's very relevant today with Canada. And you look at this and have to think, well, what's going to happen to their currency if we encounter these problems, right? So it could be a very, very big issue for Canada, and I want to stress this for other countries as well. Geopolitical tensions, you have all the financial problems and regulations that could arise, you have the potential for natural disaster, you could have a lot of other things as well that are really not being addressed today but could erupt in the future. Having this information, having this foundation is going to empower you to learn, to be able to gather more data in the future, because all of this connects the dots together. If you want to be a true investor, if you want to be knowledgeable, then you need to read, but having this type of information gives you the base. If you just pick up a book and start reading it, you're never going to be able to grasp it all. It's good to know the foundation first, and then you build on top of that. Without a firm footing, it's just very, very difficult. Okay, that's where I struggled in the beginning, because you're learning from the textbooks and they don't teach you in a way that makes it easy to understand. So when I wrote The Money GPS, the book, the first book, that was basically the book I wanted to read in the beginning. And that's why I did that. Okay, so if you found the video informative, please give me a thumbs up. When you give me a thumbs up, it helps to support the channel. I don't just say that, I really do appreciate it, and I want to thank all of you. I also want to thank everybody who supports me in any which way. I really want to thank you all. If you found the video informative, you're going to find my books even more informative. As I said, The Money GPS is basically the book that I wish I had read in the beginning. I wish that it existed, because I'm reading all these textbooks, these super complicated books. They were getting into way too much information, and I'm like, where's the beginning? Like, where do I start? I don't want to know all the complex formulas. I just want to know where I can start. And then you can pile the stuff on top of that. So that's basically what that book is. Global Economic Collapse fills in some of the gaps, gets into some of the other information I couldn't get into in The Money GPS. So those are there. Link is in the description. If you're more interested in the audiobook version, you can get that at themoneygps.com.